prospect of paying down a mountain of debt is one facing countless Canadians. Jeffrey Schwartz is the Executive Director of Consolidated Credit Counseling Services of Canada. How do these numbers jibe with what you're seeing on the ground?
It's not surprising. We're seeing a lot of people come to us more so than ever, especially in the last kind of 12 to 14 months. Our inquiries have substantially increased, especially around the oil patch.
Of course, because of the turn down there. I mean, I was looking at this thinking, well, debt's been slowly rising since 2008, but obviously the downturn since then has really had an impact on people.
It has, and it's kind of disheartening because you thought that maybe people were starting to try and pay off their debt, get into a better position, and then this kind of blindsides them.
So what kind of debts are we really talking about here?
Well, big time mortgage debt. I mean, housing markets have been on the rise for, it seems like, decades, and people are buying more house, and as a result, they're taking on more mortgage debt. Credit card debt is still the second behind that, and then auto loans and lines of credit.
You talk about, obviously, the situation in Alberta is particularly bad, and we know what that's like. What is the regional disparity like when you look at sort of the situation across Canada?
Well, in Ontario, we're doing okay. In some cases, we're actually seeing them decrease.
Is that a fact?
Insolvencies are decreasing in Ontario. BC is doing all right as well, but when it comes to the provinces that were working in the oil patch, Alberta, sometimes Saskatchewan, even the eastern provinces where people have gone back to the Maritimes, they're struggling as well.
So, I mean, it's impossible to boil this down to one message, but what is your message to people when they come in and they say, listen, I'm under this mountain, I don't know how to get out, what should I do? What's the first thing they should do?
Well, the first thing we want them to do is don't take on any more debt. If they're in a position where they keep adding on to their credit card bills and using it, then that's not going to help them retire it. The second thing that we talk about is really try and pay yourself first. Live within your means and pay yourself first. So take a little bit at the beginning, and then as you get better, take more and put some savings away so that if life happens, you can go into those savings as opposed to more debt.
There must be something encouraging. By the time they get to you, they've realized there's a problem, they realize that they need help, and they're trying to get it.
And we like that, and that's one of my last tips is that it's a lot of simple stuff that we're talking about. Don't spend as much, live within your means, but it's certainly not easy. They've built up these behaviors over the years, and that's what's creating some of the problem now.
I was talking a little bit about this with Preet Banerjee on the show a couple days ago, that one of the weird things about debt is we don't talk about it. We don't talk about it in our family. It sneaks up on you. You don't talk about it with yourself. How important is it that within a family unit especially to have those conversations and know where everybody stands?
Well, I agree. It is very important because you want to get everybody in the family going in the same direction, that they're not saying, I want, when the reality is if you can't satisfy those wants, then if everybody's thinking in the same direction, maybe they cut back a bit.
The mountain of debt we all know about, is there an opportunity here in that we are still at low interest rates? You can sort of convert some of that debt into something that would be at a lower rate than, say, a credit card before we start to inevitably see these rates rise?
The answer is yes. If you have good credit, then you may have the opportunity to do that. But the danger is that if you don't have your behaviors under control, then what you free up on one credit card and put on a low interest rate debt, you're still going to rack that credit card up again.
All right, we've got to leave it there. Jeffrey Schwartz, thanks for this. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.